What's up, guys? Welcome to the second episode of What is Health? And today we're going to be talking about fatty acids. So I wanted to dive into this one a little bit early. Usually it comes after blood sugar dysregulation, but I feel like because a lot of people that watch this video are keto or interested in keto, this is something that needs to be addressed. So fatty acids really are the building blocks for hormones, for our cell membranes, right? They're used in so much. And when I say fatty acids, I'm talking about like omega-9s, 3s, 6s, those things that you hear about all the time when it comes to fish oils and things like that. And oftentimes, even on a high-fat diet, we are fatty acid deficient. I know that when I first started my education as a nutritional therapist practitioner, I found out that I was fatty acid deficient, which blew my mind because there for over 9 months straight, I ate over 75% of my calories were coming from fat. How in the world was I fatty acid deficient? It's a great question. Honestly, it comes down to digestion. You know, we've talked about that before. If digestion is bad, then enzymes aren't going to be triggered and you're not going to get the absorption of the fatty acids as you should. Granted, some of them will get absorbed, but you can still be deficient when it comes to the muscle tissue. And so understanding that that is a big part of who we are, that fatty acids make up the cell membranes of all of our cells, right? They help with making sex hormones. They help with all kinds of things. They really are what make up our body, including proteins. Proteins and fats do the bulk of the creation of what you see when you look in the mirror, and they're so essential to making sure that you are functioning properly. They're also really important for immune function. If you're fatty acid deficient, you can see some real issues with immune function, because if the B and T cells and things like that help help your immune system function, that are a big part of your immune system, aren't made with the proper fatty acids, the integrity of them isn't that good. And so when they're in training inside the lymph system, they can really get confused, and you can cause autoimmune. A fatty acid deficiency can trigger autoimmune issues, all kinds of things. So understanding that, first and foremost, just because you're keto does not mean you're not fatty acid deficient, right? A couple ways that you can tell if you're fatty acid deficient. If you go on for walks and like 10 minutes in, like you feel like you just can't move your legs anymore, or you feel like you have to like really start pumping your arms to get your legs to keep moving, you're probably fatty acid deficient. You should be able to walk no problem, at least for 10 minutes. Like, I understand if you've never exercised and so you try walking 7 miles, yeah, that'll tax you, but a good 10-minute walk, an easy walk, should not be difficult for almost any human being unless you're extremely overweight. So that is a big sign that you're fatty acid deficient. Another one is if you're having gallbladder issues. If you're not producing the right amount of bile, you're not breaking down the fats and absorbing them like you should, even if you're keto. Fatty acid deficient. So just because you're eating fats doesn't mean you're absorbing the fats properly. That's the real take home I'm trying to get y'all to understand. So first and foremost, how can we fix this? How can we deal with this? One, digestion. Go back and watch the digestion video. There's the link. Get that figured out. You get that figured out and it's going to take care of 80% of your problems, especially if you're already keto, because you're eating enough fatty acids. It's, are you absorbing and utilizing them properly? That's really the big focus here. And then I would say that the second thing, and the thing that we're going to dive in a little bit more than the first one in this video, is the quality of those fats, right? So making sure you're getting enough saturated fat. It's huge for hormones. The dogma that saturated fat is bad for you is complete baloney. In fact, the fact that they feed you so many vegetable oils that cause inflammation, which can cause cholesterol buildup, instead of just giving you saturated fats and healthy animal fats, it's going to help lower inflammation, which is going to keep LDL out of your bloodstream because there isn't a reason for it to go and try and protect anything. Is a big deal, and it's very wrong of the Institute as a whole of health to tell you that. And the truth is, I'm not a doctor, but through my studies and through the things that I've read and the things that I understand and personal experience, I can say without a doubt that I truly believe that saturated fat is healthy for you, and it's dumb to take it away. Now, there is a such thing as too much depending on the individual. That's where we have to have balance, which is the third thing, right? So quality of fats, getting in those saturated, right? Getting in those omega-3s, getting in those omega-9s, omega-7s are another good one, and then omega-6s in the right balance are healthy too. So that brings us to 3. balance. We have to have a balanced amount of all of these. A great example of why you need balance of all three of these are these molecules called prostaglandins. So prostaglandins are made up of fatty acids. You have PG1, PG2, and PG3. PG1 is inflammatory, PG2 is anti-inflammatory, PG3 is inflammatory. PG1 is made with omega-6s. PG2 is made with saturated fats, okay? So what we see is, you eat omega-6s and you produce a lot of PG1. You eat a lot of saturated fats and you produce a lot of PG2, okay? These things help balance each other out. If one of them is out of balance, then we're gonna have an issue with inflammation markers, right? So making sure that you're getting the right amount of saturated fats, you're getting the right amount of omega-6s, but you're not getting too much. You don't wanna cause too much of an inflammatory response. And that also we can also get into prostaglandins a little bit more because there's a little bit more detail on conversions and stuff. But I want you to understand though, is that example is just to give you an idea of balance. We need that balance, right? Our ancestors generally ate a 1-to-1, 3-to-6 ratio, but the foods that we have are so high in 6 that you really want to focus on getting in more 3s, and they'll balance each other out. And then don't skimp on the saturated fats, animal fats, cacao butter, keto bricks, other things like that are great for saturated fat. So make sure you're getting enough, but understand that each individual, depending on their ancestral plate, their genetics, their fatty acid balance, and what they need to function properly is going to be different. So play with things, see how you feel. 1 week do a lot of saturated fat, and then really notice your workouts, notice your heart rate. How well you can walk, what's your cardio feel like. Then the next week, drop your saturated and up your omega-3s. See how you feel. Play with those things and see what your balance is as an individual. So again, digestion is first and foremost. You'll probably eradicate 80% of your issues, especially if you're keto, if you get the digestion fixed. 2 is the quality, making sure you're getting from natural sources, not highly refined canola, soybeans, and vegetable oils. And then the third one is balance, making sure that you test and try to figure out what the balance of fatty acids is for you as an individual. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. What is Health? Episode 2, Fatty Acids. See you next time.